Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to go through the skills that you need to complete Delta Math this week as promised. Okay, standard form to Vertex. Let's check out the first one. Here we go. All right, so if everyone remembers, the Vertex form is y equals a brackets x minus h comma squared plus k. That's the Vertex form. That's what we need. We know that h is negative b over 2a, and k is equal to the function of h. Whatever the result is, mételo. Whatever the result is, mételo. Okay? So let's go through this. How are we going to do this? We need to find out h first. H is, in this case, well, what's our b? Our b is -5. So negative, that means it's a positive 5 over 2 times, what's my a? A appears to be 1. So 5 divided by 2. Now, we have that, and that's part of the equation. Perfect. But we now need to find k. What's our k going to be? Well, we're just going to have to input mételo y mételo, right? Put it inside the equation. What do you have? 5 over 2 squared minus 5 brackets 5 over 2 close brackets plus 7. So 5 over 2 squared, square everything on top, square everything on the bottom. Negative 25 over 2 plus 7. Well, we need to rewrite this a little bit. So let's see, 25 over 4, let's use that. Let's use 4 as the common denominator. What do we have to do about this negative 25? Well, for 2 to get to 4, we have to multiply it by 2. So multiply it by 2. How do we get 78 as a fraction with 4? 7 times 4, 28. There we go. 25 minus 50 is negative 25 plus 28. So negative 25 plus 28 over 4, which is going to give us the final answer of 3 over 4. And that's going to be our k. So now that we have everything, we have y equals a. What's my a? It appears to be 1. So no need to even write it. We can write it, but there's no need to. X minus 5 over 2, close bracket squared, plus 3 over 4. Okay, let us type that in. Well, they already give us y, so x minus 5 over 2, close brackets, squared, plus 3 divided by 4. Check, check. All right, let's do that one more time. Let's do that one more time. Okay, I'm going to just erase a couple of things here. Okay, as I said, what you need is in the top right hand corner and what should already be in your notes. What should already be in your notes. So let's just get rid of this stuff. All right. So how are you going to start? You're going to start by finding h. H is equal to negative 10. Negative, positive 10 divided by 2 times 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now that we have that it's 5, we can just input what we have. 5 squared minus 10 times 5. Mételo. Put it in the inside. Negative 5. 5 times 5, 25. Negative 10 times 5, negative 50. Minus 5. So 25 minus 50, negative 25. Minus 5, negative 30. There was no fractions in this case, so we're quite lucky in that scenario. Now we're going to write y equals, what's the a? The a appears to be 1. X minus 5, close bracket squared, plus, well, plus negative 30, which is the same thing as just saying minus 30. So let's type in what we have here. Y equals x minus 5, close brackets, squared, minus 30. Check, check. All right. Let's do one more just for luck in case anyone is still struggling. If you need to, please skip and go to the next video. If you understand this, you can skip. As I said, there's un truco on one of these skills that will save you time. That will save you time. All right. Well, last one I'm going to do here. Sorry, this is the same. Let's just see. Let's do a different question. Let's do one that's going to be a fraction like this one. Here we go. This one will be a fraction. Well, we need to find our h. Okay, h. Now we know that h is negative b, and b is negative here. So that means it's going to be positive 3 divided by 2 times 1. That gives us 3/2. Now that we have that, you got to find your k. What's your k? 3/2 squared minus 3 brackets 3/2 plus 10. So 3/2 squared is 9/4 because you square what's on top and you square what's on the bottom. Cuadrado por arriba y cuadrado por abajo. Minus 3 times 3 is 9. And the 2 remains because it's a multiplication. Plus 10. Well, we got to simplify this, so let's see what we can do. Let's use it all over the common denominator of 4. How did the 4 become a 4? It multiplied with 1, so 9 can stay. How did the 2 become a 4? It multiplied by 2, doubled, doble. So we can now double 9 and get 18. How does 10 have a common factor of 4? Well, if it's 10/1, 1 multiplies with 4, so therefore we need to add 40. What is 9 minus 18 plus 40? Negative 9 plus 40 is going to give us all over 4. Negative 9 plus 40, when it's a negative and a positive, we take the difference of the numbers, which is going to give us 31. And what number was bigger? The positive. So it has to be positive 31/4. That's going to be our k. So now we have y equals x. And what's my h? 3/2 minus 3/2 squared plus 31/4. There we have it. Let's type it in. X minus 3/2 squared plus 31 divided by 4. Final answer. Okay. 2 steps. Find h, find k, write it in the correct form. All right. 2 steps. Find h, find k. I hope that helps out. Let's take a look at the next one. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one that you have is finding the constant. If you guys will recall, the constant is b/2 squared, right? Every single time you're doing step 2 of the process, you are having to add the constant, which is b/2 squared. So let's write it down. What do we have? Negative 18 divided by 2. Now we can do the multiplication, sure, but negative 8 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 9, meaning it's negative 9 cuadrado, which is 81. So what are we going to add to both sides? 81. Okay. And there we have it. All right. Let's do another one of these. You're going to have to do the exact same thing that we just did right now. We're going to have to use the equation b/2 squared. So let's check it out. What's that going to be? What's the b in this case? 3. So 3 divided by 2 squared. That's 3 divided by 2. Well, in this case, I can't simplify this. So we're just going to have to do the process of squaring. 3 times 3. Remember, this is the same as 3/2 times 3/2. Well, that's just going to give us 9/4. Cuadrado por arriba, cuadrado por abajo. Cuadrado por arriba, cuadrado por abajo. Okay? 9/4 is what we're going to have to add on both sides. 9 divided by 4. Okay? New problem. Negative 13. Now this one's going to look a little bit trickier. It's going to look a little bit trickier. Let's erase what we've done in the last one. And there we go. Okay. Now, here, we're going to have to do 13. So what is negative 13 divided by 2? Can't be simplified, so we're just going to have to use the fraction since we can't simplify it into a whole number. 169 divided by 4. Well, I don't think that can be simplified, so we're just going to have to use it exactly like that. All right. Of course, you can, use the decimal, of course, but a fraction, easier to do with a fraction, okay? So that's completing the square with finding the constant. Pretty straightforward. B divided by 2 squared. B divided by 2 squared. I'm going to just highlight that once so that everyone can see that. All you're doing is adding the constant. B divided by 2 squared, okay? All right. I hope that's a clear enough question. Rational. Now here is the trick. Here is the trick. We know that the ways of finding the x-intercepts are as follows. We can graph, we can factor, and the ones that you're learning about now, complete the square, which is what they want you to do. And of course, quadratic formula, which is what you're going to learn about soon, okay? Now, when they say rational only, these are actually really nice questions because I don't need to complete the square. I can actually factor these. I need to rewrite this question as a quadratic in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And in order to do that, I just have to move the 8x to the other side. That way, we are balancing the equation and giving it an output. Everyone clear? An output of y. Plus 8x plus 12. Now that I've done that, you guys can do what you've done many times before. What are the multiples of 12? 6 and 2, 4 and 3, -6, -2, -4, -3. And of course, I'm trying to look for the ones that give me 8. Well, 6 plus 2 gives me 8. So it's got to be this option right here. What are we going to do? We're going to just create dos casitas, x plus 6, x plus 2, and apply the zero product property. X plus 6 is equal to 0. X plus 2 is equal to 0. X is equal to -2. X is equal to -6. So what we have to do here is do -6. And you see what I just did. I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to take this away, but I have to use a comma. I know. Wait a second. No, I have to use a comma. Everyone is, I just said that twice. You have to use a comma. -2, okay? Zero product property will save you a lot of time. If you don't want to do the whole process, okay, you have to do that one way or the other for this indicador that we're focusing on at the moment. If you don't want to do it, fine. But I'm telling you, if you want to save time, just factor the solution and apply the zero product property. So let's do that one more time. You want it in this form, ax, bx plus c. Don't start these questions without writing it in the correct form. So if I have positive 27, I can subtract it on both sides, giving it y on one side. X squared minus 6x minus 27. So how did we get that -27? Well, it has to be a negative and a positive, a negative and a positive, a negative and a positive, a negative and a positive. These are the options that multiply to make 27, -27. And the number we're looking for is -6. So what combination gives us, there it is, -9 plus 3 is -6. So we know that in one of the casitas, we're going to have x minus 9. And in the other casita, we're going to have x plus 3. That's in factored form. What do we know? That x minus 9 is equal to 0. And we know that x plus 3 is equal to 0. What minus 9 gave us 0? Well, just balance the equation. X equals 9. Balance the equation. Balance the equation. X equals negative 3. So our x-intercepts are as follows. 9, everyone, comma, negative 3. I'm not going to say that, comma. Yeah? You got to use the comma here. Let's do that one more time. Like I said, if you don't want to do completing the square, here is the shortcut. Either way, it's a useful skill to develop because you do need factoring skills. No matter what, you need to know how to factor very well. Bx plus c. Yeah, so what do we have? We have x squared minus 4x. Why minus 4x? Because I'm balancing my equation. I am going to balance the equation. Plus 3. What are my multiples of 3? Well, I got negative 3 and negative 1. I got 3 and 1. Those are the only multiples that we have. And clearly, the number I'm looking for is negative 4. So I know that in one of my casitas, there's going to be x minus 3 and x minus 1. And that should equal y, as the formula states. So x minus 3 is equal to 0, and x minus 1 is equal to 0. X is equal to 1, x is equal to 3. So what do I put right here? Simple, 3, 1, enter. There we go. All right, there we go. New problem. One last one in case we're still struggling. In case we're still struggling, one last one, okay? Like I said, you can do completing the square, no problem, but that's the shortcut. I promised you guys the shortcut was in the video, and there it is. Factor what you have and just do zero product property. Plus 63, plus 63. X squared plus 16x plus 63. Yeah, well, 63, how do we make 63? 7 and 9. Negative 9, negative 7. And those are pretty much the only numbers that will multiply. Of course, 63 and 1 is an option as well. But what number am I looking for? I'm looking for 16, and 7 plus 9 is, well, positive 16. So I know that it's going to be x plus 7, x plus 9. X plus 7 is equal to 0, and x plus 9 is equal to 0. So I can balance the equation and find that x is negative 7, and I can balance the equation to find that x is equal to negative 9. All right, so I just type in that answer, negative 7, 9. Whoops, negative 7 and negative 9, sorry, negative 9. There we go. All right, there's the shortcut. You will save yourself time. Of course, you're more than welcome to practice the steps that we've done in class. You're more than welcome to do that. But to save time, you can always factor it here. You can always factor it here, okay? Now, here is the tricky one, and I do mean tricky. Let me just clear what we have here. Focus on these questions because they are tricky questions. I will warn you guys, okay? They are not that easy. I myself find them challenging. Okay, so as it says here, oh no, is this not working? 1 second. I don't have my mouse working. All right, that's working now. All right, as it says here, what you need to always do is step 1. If you guys remember, step 1, move the b to the c term to the other side. So that gives us x squared minus 4x equal to 15. Why? Because I add 15 to the other side. Move your C term. Look at your notes. Move your C term. Now that you have that, you have to then do step 2. Add b over 2 squared. Well, what's b over 2 squared? That's going to be negative 4 divided by 2 squared, which is going to be negative 4 divided by 2, negative 2 squared, which is 4. So x squared, minus 4x plus 4 is equal to 15 plus 4, because you added your b term to the both sides of the equation. No, this is not working. Why is this not working? Sorry, the pen is not working, chicos. Give me 1 second here. This is not. Que bobada. Okay, I'm hoping that the pen situation is fixed. 3, now that we've done this, we have to factor what we have, okay? And we always know that factoring it means something times something. It'll always be the same thing, okay? But we have 2 and 2, -2 and -2. It has to be the same number to factor. So x minus 2 squared, yeah, equals 19, okay? You have to factor in -2 plus -2 is -4, which is what we're looking for. So now that we have that, we can take the square root of both sides, the square root of both sides, the square root of both sides. And this is going to be step 4. When we take the square root, we're saying chow to the exponent. And now we have, in step 5, x minus 2 equals the positive negative of the square root of 19. So balance the equation, and x equals 2 plus minus the square root of 19, which cannot be simplified. It's a prime number. All right, so how do we type this into our answers? Well, we do 2 plus square root of 19, comma. Remember the comma, chicos. You have to have your answer like this. You have to have your answer like this. Actually, well, yeah, square root of 19. It should allow it like this, or if not, yeah. Okay, is everyone clear? Your solution, you can also type it in another way, which I will show you guys in a second, okay? Let's take a look at a new problem, okay? Let's do these. I'm going to do a couple of these because I know they're tricky. Now here, we're not given it in the correct form. So let's start the question in the correct form, where we have a quadratic, and we know that our quadratic is x squared plus 14x plus 34. Good. Now that we have that, we can start our process. Step 1, move the 34 to the other side. X squared plus 14x equals -34. I just like to start it out in the quadratic form. You don't have to, but I like to do that. Then we're going to have to add b over 2 squared to both sides. What's our b? 14 divided by 2 squared, which is 14 divided by 2, 7 squared, which is 49. So x squared plus 14x plus 49 is equal to -34 plus 49. Step 3, factor. Factoring it is always going to have the perfect square. So 7 and 7, because 7 times 7 is 14. It's going to be a perfect square of factoring. It's a perfect square situation. Equals -34 plus 49. I'm looking at this right here, -34. Well, what's the difference between the numbers? 15. What number was bigger? The positive. So it's positive 15. Ok, toma la diferencia y mete el símbolo de lo más grande si tienes un negativo y un positivo. Toma la diferencia y mete el símbolo de lo más grande si tienes un negativo y un positivo. So now we move on to step 4. Step 4 is taking the square root of both sides. Take the square root of both sides. What do we have when we do that? The square root and the square root. Ciao. We say goodbye to the exponent, leaving us with x plus 7. I know the stupid pen is, okay, one sec, the pen is not working. Which is equal to the plus minus the square root of 15. So what's our last step? X equals, move the 7 over, -7 plus minus the square root of 15, okay? X is equal to -7. And look at this little symbol that they give us. I can just click on that symbol if I don't want to use the comma. I can just click on that symbol if I don't want to use the comma. -7 plus minus the square root of 15, okay? I'll do one more. Here, all right? Now, let's take a look one more time. Me, I like to always start my questions in the quadratic form, okay? And this is not in the quadratic form. So let's move anything that we have on one side of the equation to the other. And that gives us x squared plus 10x plus 23. Now I can start the process. X squared plus 10x is equal to, well, if this was equal to y, we're going to subtract 23 on both sides. Move the c term to the other side, negative 23. All right. Now, let's take a look at step number 2. Step number 2 is adding b over 2 squared to both sides, which is negative 10 divided by 2. This pen is not working. Okay, I hope it's working now. X squared plus 10x and b over 2, well, that's negative 5 squared, which is 25. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides. Negative 23 plus 25. Now in the third step, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to take the square root, put it into factored form, which is x plus 5 squared, equal to negative 23 plus 25. Toma la diferencia, 2. El símbolo más grande, positivo, positivo 2. Okay. Now, step 4, you're going to take the square root of both sides, square root of both sides. And that's going to leave us with x plus 5 equal to the positive minus of the square root of 2. So what do we do next? Step 5, we're going to move the 5 over, leaving us with x equal to negative 5 plus minus the square root of 2. 5 steps. If you follow them exactly, you should be fine. Negative 5 plus minus the square root of 2 and submit our answer, okay? I'm only giving you guys 3 questions to complete here, but hint, 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 hint. Are these the questions I'm going to use for your test? Absolutely. So focus on those. Let's do these when a is bigger than 1. When a is bigger than 1, it's going to be a little bit trickier now. So let's just start by doing exactly what we do. As we did in class this week, there's only one extra step that we have to do. One extra step that we have to do. Negative 90x minus 370, okay? Sorry, plus 370 equals y. There's the quadratic. Step 1, we're going to move the 370 over, which is how they gave it to us, 5x squared minus 90x equals negative 370. Step 1.1. If you guys remember from class, you have to divide by 5. You need to get rid of your a term. Get rid of the a term. And here we're quite lucky that it gives us quite a nice number. 90 divided by 5 is going to be 18x. 370 divided by 5 is going to be 60, 60, 70, 70, 12, 14, negative 74. Yeah, negative 74. Okay. Yeah. Step 2 of the following question. We now need to put it into, add the b over 2 squared. Add b over 2 squared to both sides. What's our b term now? It's now negative 18. Negative 18 divided by 2 squared. Always use your new b term. Always use the new b term. Always use the new b term. Always use the new b term. Not the original, the new. The new. Eso es fundamental. Negative 9 squared equals 81. Okay. So we have x squared minus 18x plus 81 is equal to negative 74 plus 81. Now, what do we have? We have to put it into the factored form. So x, well, 81, we're looking for the same number, 9 and 9, negative 9, negative 9. Negative, negative, negative 18. So x minus 9 squared. X minus 9 squared. And from that, we can now do equal to negative 74 plus 81. Toma la diferencia y eso te da 7. Which is the bigger number? 81, positive 7. Step 4, take the squared root, ciao, and take the squared root of 7. So what do we have? X minus 9 equal to the positive minus square root of 7. Plus 9 plus 9. 5 is equal to X equals 9 plus minus the square root of 7. All right. 9 plus minus the square root of 7. All right. Ka-ching. All right. Take a look at the next one. As I said, now that you have 8 terms that are bigger than 1, it's a little bit trickier. Okay. So do the same thing that you just did. Minus 48x. Now you have 3x squared minus 48x. Well, let me just write down the equation that we have. Negative 48x plus 174 equals y, okay? Equals negative 174. Why negative 174? Because I have to do in step 1, moving my a term, my c term. Move my c term over. Haga el revés. Do the reverse. Now, step 1.1. Okay, 1.1. I'm now going to divide both sides by 3. That's going to give me x squared. 48 divided by 3, it should be negative 16. X equal to 174 divided by 3, 60, 59, 58, negative 58. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to do the following. We're going to have to add the b term of b over 2 squared to both sides of the equation. What's the new b? The new b is negative 16. So negative 16 divided by 2 equals negative 8 squared, which is 64. So what am I going to add to both sides? In step 2, I'm going to have to add 64. This thing just turned off on me one more time. There we go. So x squared minus 16x plus 64 is equal to negative 58 plus 64. Add the b over 2 onto both sides. 3. Next step. Now we're going to have to factor it. X, well, if I have a negative 16 here, it has to be the same number, 8 and 8. Negative 8, negative 8. So x, hey, this thing is shutting off on me. Minus, why is this doing it? All right, well, negative 8 and negative 8 is negative 16. So we know that's going to be what we have to put in. Negative 8 squared equal to negative 58 plus 64. That means, what do we have to do? We have to take the squared root symbol, and negative 58 plus 64. Well, let's just do the trick that we've always done. La diferencia de los números, si es un negativo positivo, toma la diferencia. Y tienes 6. ¿Qué número es más grande? 64. Positivo 6. X minus 8. Squared root of the positive minus. So what do we do in step? We've done step 4. We've taken the squared root. Okay. So we have to add 8 to the other side. Add 8. That means that x is equal to 8 plus minus the square root of 6. Okay. 8 plus minus the square root of 6. All right. Like I said, chicos, the two ones that you're going to have on the test, are the following. Okay, those are the only 2 that will be on the test. I highly recommend you do extra practice on those. Okay. If you need anything else, just let me know. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Ciao, ciao.